Yeah.
I think saying no is so big, and being and deciding where you don't want to be is like as important as figuring out where you do want to be, and not kind of thinking like, oh, I'm boring because I don't want to be here. Be like, no, this is fucking boring. I don't want to be here because this is boring.
That's the second t-shirt.
It's a beautiful memory.
I don't fancy it anymore, and this is fucking boring. I'm out. Kate Nash.
Johnson.
And I'm Ann Gregory.
And this is the show where we talk to teetotaling guests about how they find the fun in a booze-free life.
And today we are talking to a super fun guest. She is a rock star. She is an actor. She is so much fun. And Rebecca and she were on Netflix's Glow together.
In fact, we met in the ring, and she literally quit drinking the day before we met so that she could prepare to be a wrestler on Glow, a day which I drank a lot. But she's one of my best friends. She produced our show, The Retreat. Mm-hmm. She's an incredible person, and she's absolutely hilarious. And you might have a hard time understanding her because she's from London.
London? What?
I'm just kidding. She's a beautiful, amazing
person. She's not kidding about her being from London. She's from London, but you'll be able to understand her because she enunciates very well. She's a fucking rock star.
Yeah, we love her.
We love talking to Kate Nash.
Welcome, Kate Nash.
Thank you.
How have you been, Kate?
It's fucking freezing in London right now. It's literally frozen. So it's been good. I'm a bit like I'm missing LA. I'm feeling the winter blues a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to find a way to make a trip to LA every winter. I think that's just what you're gonna have to do.
It would be great to be paid as well for that.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Work reasons to go.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make it happen.
Done. Yeah.
I should have flown out for the podcast. I should have been like promotion.
Our budget is huge, so yeah, we can do it. We can put you up someplace chic.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be.
Yeah.
Thanks.
My guest room is very chic.
I room.
You have a pool.
I know.
It's very nice. Yeah. So, Kate, we have had so much fun with you not drinking, and you have not been drinking for way longer than us.
I'm about to be like 8 years of not drinking.
Wow.
This is amazing.
So weird, isn't it?
Do you have a date? Do you know your date that you stopped? Because I know it was pretty organic, but I think our listeners would like to hear about why you stopped, when you stopped, and kind of like your whole history with that.
I used to know the date. It was because it was. I used to know it because it was the day after I flew in for Glow in 2016. Wow. It was like August 20 something, I think. Yeah, I feel like we were. I feel like did we start in September? I feel like it was like August.
No, we started in August. You know what? We'll have to check the flight manifest.
I'll check the flight history.
I'll call the FBI.
Oh, yeah.
I will call the FBI.
I'll contact Todd. Oh, Rico. Yeah,
From
I'll get
the FBI.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was the day before Glow, or the day you flew in for us to start working on Glow.
So I flew in for Glow. I got my, I booked Glow in 2016 in August, and I flew to LA, and on the flight I was drinking, of course. And then I just remember I was staying at my friend Mickey and Brian's house. They were away somewhere, and I didn't have it. I was like, okay, I'm moving back to LA, but I didn't have anywhere yet. So I was staying at their place while they were on holiday. And I just remember being in their living room, and I was like, I'm not going to drink. I'm really nervous about wrestling. I'd never wrestled before. Shock. And I just thought, this is a really big deal. Like, this is like an athletic thing that I don't know how to do. And I could die. Like, I could break my neck, or I really remember like thinking about when you'd watch gymnastics in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And you see people do like crazy stuff and you're like, well, I'm never going to do that. Like you have to do stuff like that from the age of like 1. And that's kind of how I felt about wrestling. I was like, this is going to be so difficult because I was 27 when we started, and I was like, how the hell am I going to flip and do things that I don't know how to do and I'm also terrified of? So I was like, I'm not going to drink because I want to be a really serious athlete, and I'm going to take this really seriously. And that was it. That was the start of not drinking for me, because I was very happy that I wasn't drinking. I just thought hangover is not something I need to add to this.
Hey, what is so funny about that is I was 37 when I started Glow. And my reaction was, I'm on a TV show. I'm going to celebrate with a drink every night.
I get that logic as well. I do get that logic. I was so scared of the wrestling.
Well, you were way better at wrestling than I was, so I think you did the right thing. You
had knee pain. You were probably also, you had lots going on. Like
I was 10 years older.
Who got more injuries on Glow? Or did you both? Yeah.
I kind of came in, I already had a torn calf muscle.
Oh boy.
And then,
you just like didn't tell anyone and just had it.
Pretended I didn't.
Oh no.
And I just, even in the audition, I had it, and I just ran around. I did splits, and then I couldn't walk for like 2 days. And when they were like, "Are you able to be athletic?" I was like, "Yep, perfect. I'm perfect shape, perfect."
And then she could just go into the splits, and everyone would believe her because, like,
she's really flexible. Oh, you have to do the splits. I don't know how we can on a Zoom, but you got to.
I'll do one after. I'll do it in B-roll.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, I had like knee tendonitis and stuff. Kate had different injuries, but not terrible. Your wrist hurt, didn't it?
I had a wrist thing, RSI, from like just music. It's a common like injury.
A guitar injury, not a wrestling injury.
Injury.
This is how I rock.
I wonder if there's any like correlation between like alcohol use and injuries, or there's just nothing. I don't know. That's just interesting.
I mean, I think there is if you go into like ER on a Friday night, that's what everyone like. If you go to A&E in England, that's like what the NHS is like paying for. Like, it's just people that have done stupid stuff, isn't it? But so anyway, I was like, I'm going to be a really serious athlete for the first time in my life. I've got an opportunity to be an athlete. I thought that part of my life would never begin. So let me take it really seriously. I did. And then we started filming, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drink just for vanity's sake, because it will make my skin look better. And let me just depuff and like not have acne on camera.
And just for the listeners right now, you're wearing no makeup, and that's your skin right now, right?
I'm wearing no makeup right now.
But it's 8 years.
Sorry. Continue.
8 years of not drinking. 8 years of not drinking will make
and your skin can look like that. Wow.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if makeup on. I was just so excited. Yes. So then we were filming until December, and I didn't drink the whole time, which I was really impressed with, because that was like 3-4 months of not drinking. Yeah. And we finished in December, and it was Christmas, obviously, coming up. And I just had this thought, like, I've never been sober as an adult, or like even as a teenager. Like, I have been drinking at Christmas, and I used to love getting drunk at Christmas. Who doesn't, if you drink? And I just thought, let me just not be drunk at Christmas for the first time in my life since I was a child.
Was that hard?
It was different because I wasn't allowed to leave the country, I think, because of my green card situation. I think that was going on. I think. Mm-hmm. So I was in the US I think we wrapped by December that year.
We had that year, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I wasn't like going home because of some green card reason, I think, or whatever. So I wasn't home. I went to my cousins in San Francisco, and it was just like a different Christmas anyway. And like I was dating somebody who was sober, or at least pretending to me that they were. Like I I think that had an effect on me too, because which we can go into this a lot, but coming from the music industry, there's a lot of addiction around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think I was like, let me just not drink and support as well. It just made it easier. I think it was just on my mind. And yeah, so I got through my first like Christmas sober, and I was like, cool, I'm really happy with that. And then in February, I had these like accidental like markers. I had a tour in February. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I am not drinking on that tour because I just want to prove to myself that I don't need to drink. Like, this is really important to me. It's like my job, and music is so much about drinking. Mm-hmm. And like, it turns out that you're just better at your job when you're not drunk, which is so
that's bonkers. So
it's
before,
no one tells musicians that. No one tells.
Well, yeah,
this is crazy. Like, why is no one telling any musicians this?
and before, would you drink before shows and gigs?
I think.
And how much? What did that look like?
I had not drunk, I think, on one gig before that.
Wow.
It just becomes normal because you get a rider. A rider is like food for the dressing room. Food. It's like feeding and giving drink to your crew, and having stuff to snack on. Because either in a venue, if you're in Europe, if you're in an amazing venue in Europe, they like cook a 3-course meal for you, and it's like delicious and wonderful. And if you're in England, you get like hummus and carrot sticks from Tesco's. A buyout. They'll give money so that you can go and like buy a meal instead of the meal they provide. So the venue like provides a meal, but you also have a rider, which is things just to snack on while people are setting up for the show and during the day and blah, blah, blah. And then, like you'd get like a bottle of vodka every day on the rider.
Wow.
That would usually get drunk. Not just all by me.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised how quickly like a bottle goes in a night, because I probably have like 3 drinks. Mm-hmm. One before, one during, one after kind of thing.
Okay. So like just riding that tipsy wave kind of thing was it more about your nerves or to like get your spirits up, or what do you think? Or the culture?
Normal. I think it just felt normal. You do have nerves, and it becomes anything that, as we know, like it's so easy to build a habit. And if you're like, okay, I need to do my makeup before I do the podcast, but it'd be like, I need a drink before I do the thing. Like, I'm sure it's the same with comedy, where it's like, you just right before a set, you're like, okay, I'm just doing these things. And then I have my drink, go on stage, and that's what my drink is, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I think it just becomes a habit very quickly. And then you feel like shit because you're on tour. And it's not just the drinking that makes you feel like shit. I know, because I don't drink and I still can feel like shit on tour now. You're traveling, you're eating I think every single thing, like you're not in the same bed every night, or you're in a bunk. You're either peeing in a bus and you're not allowed to poop on the bus. So if you need to poop, you need to go to the driver and be like, I need to poop. Can we pull over? And then you're like in a service station pooping, or you're in like a cheap hotel and you're in different sheets every night, and you have a different shower. You're like, what's my showering situation? How disgusting is the toilet? How many pubes do I have to look at today? Like, how many people have spunked in this shower if it's in a venue? I know that loads of other bands have, because I've heard the fucking stories about it. Like,
Kate, one time, didn't you have there was puke on a pillowcase that you just didn't care and just went to sleep on it, right?
I did care. To be clear, I really cared, but I was at a low. And I was like, I cannot. I hit that was during the Girl Talk era. So I'd had all my money stolen from me. I was dropped by my label, and I was on this like crazy tourist where we were staying in like Super 8s. And this one particular hotel was like worse than a Super 8. It was like above a nightclub. And I put my head on the pillow and I was like wet. And I was like, oh, no. And I looked at it. And then I just fucking lobbed it across the room. And I was like, I'm just not going to look. I just threw a towel on it. And I was like, I just cannot deal with it. I cannot see it. I can't talk to anyone. Like, there's no point in dealing with this. If you're in the kind of hotel where there's just a fucking puked on pillow in the room, like, don't even bother going to talk to anyone about it.
Yeah.
They'll puke on you. They will puke on you.
They're not going to help you. They will not help you. So I threw it across the room and I covered it in a towel. So you're in discomfort a lot of the time. Obviously, touring is always it's not always that, but it is varying degrees of discomfort. And entering in the back of a venue, you wake up, you're like, okay, we're in Boston, it's winter, and you've come from the West Coast, you're like punched in the face with Boston rain and freezing. Get out of the bus, and there's like, you're going in through the back of the venue, and there's 50 giant like trash, like whatever the fuck they're called, just big, the big garbage things.
Oh yeah. Oh
like,
my god, dumpsters
in the venue, because they're all stored there, like near the elevators, and you're going through the back of the bar, and you're seeing all the like, you're seeing behind the bar like wires of cranberry juice into sacks of like, and it stinks of garbage, like juice. And then you're in your pajamas, and you're just walking on the floor, and it's like sticky from the nightclub before. Mm-hmm. It's just horrible. But it's the best part, and I love it. But every day is like, So you can also see how like drinking is just kind of like, this is going to make it easier if you're not like fully in your body, because your body's kind of uncomfortable, and having a drink can help loosen you up and make you feel like, I can cope with this, 'cause fuck it, I'll just have a drink, but that's why I'm saying that, like, you're uncomfortable anyway. It's not just the drink that makes you uncomfortable. But I always have this thought where, because I'm a little bit like, I was listening to the other episode, and you were saying like, it wasn't necessarily like you quit because you're an alcoholic or have a problem, but you just didn't. It's like a similar kind of thing. You just were like, I'd rather not drink.
Yeah, it was making me feel like shit. Yeah,
right. And I often think, like, I wonder if I will drink again, because basically the end of my like story of it is finish the tour. I thought, wow, this is great. I'm never touring drinking again. This is excellent. So much better at this job when I'm sober. And then I thought, let me just get to a year. And I was turning 30 that year. And I thought, let me get to a year. And when it gets to a year, I'll have a drink. Like, if I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink. And I might have a champagne on my birthday or something. And it was my 30th birthday, and someone offered me a glass of champagne. I was like, I don't want it. I don't want that drink. I just don't want the daytimey, fuzzy. I was like, I don't fancy it. I actually just don't fancy it. I'm really enjoying the clarity, because the more you do it, like, the clearer you kind of get. And it becomes this like, I just was like, I'm really happy not drinking, so I'm going to just carry on. And then I said to myself, I'll have a drink when I want one. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And that's kind of where I am.
I think I'm going to make a t-shirt, a new t-shirt, because I'm already wearing the Kate Nash shirt, as you know, that says, I don't fancy it, Kate Nash. Like, I think that's such a simple explanation of why you don't drink. There was maybe 2 or 3 times in our like time of hanging out a lot, 2 or 3 times where you've been like, I might drink with you tonight. And it was specifically like when Glow got canceled, you're like, I think I'm going to have a drink with you. And I brought out a bottle of whiskey.
Oh yeah, I should have done that one. I'm like, fuck it.
No, but it was great because you actually were like, no, I don't want to. And I was like, yeah, then don't. Like, there's no reason to like do it. But you obviously, we are so close, and we spent so much time together, and we also have spent so much time laughing. And so you are one of the big reasons, one of the big inspirations for me for quitting. And one of the things that I stuck to and clung to, because I do have alcohol dependency issues, and I you've seen me very drunk. And I really have that addiction problem. And one of the things I kept thinking of is like, I have the most fun in the world with you. And we laugh so hard during the day or night without drinking. And I've had so many great laughs with you without drinking. And I was like, if Kate could be like the funniest, most charismatic, most fun person in the world without alcohol, then I can like attempt to do it too. And so I clung to that. I really clung to that. And so thank you for like helping me, because I've been like, okay, I have Anne, I have Kate, and like we got to spend all that time in Edinburgh together and none of us drinking. And like, I think that just was so great to be able to like push through my addiction problems by thinking of both of you, but specifically because Kate and I, we spent so much time together for years before I quit.
Also, a huge caveat, Kate is way more fun than me. Just like so much more fun. Like, she's just a really good time. And I wanted to know hey, like how you're so good at having fun and being yourself and being relaxed around a bunch of drunk idiots. Because Rebecca told me during the pandemic when we were all drinking way too much, except for you, Kate Nash, like that you would go over to their house and you would order delicious food and they would get drunk and drunker and you were cool with it. How did that, were you good with that right away, or did that take time to develop that skill set? Or
okay,
how do you do it, Kate Nash?
Well, I have a few things to say. One is, I have like drunk memories with you, Rebecca. I feel like we have been drunk together. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, it feels like we've had drunken nights out, like, because they've been so like fun and wild. And I feel like that about my time on Glow. I'm like, it does feel, it was a riot. It was like, why women can be wild. Like you don't need actually drugs or alcohol to feel like wild. And especially that night in Vegas where it's like a crazy like druggy memory. But
Kate and I went to Vegas. We went to Vegas to do some like event for the WWE.
Of course. That was our life.
Classic. When we were wrestlers. So we went to go to this event and I actually had one drink, maybe two, which is not a lot for me. Kate had none, but I wasn't drunk. But we were going up, down escalators. We were crazy. We were up till 2 a.m. laughing, being insane.
Up and down escalators.
Wait. Wow. Let's say this again. So you not only went up an escalator, but you fucking went down an escalator?
You don't understand. We went up a down escalator.
Oh.
We went on the rock. We were like being stupid, like doing,
got it.
Doing drunken things.
Okay.
In the hotel room, when you were singing that amazing song that you wrote in the moment, you were you were putting your rings away one at a time, putting your rings away one at a time, and a bracelet in a separate bag, one at a time, one at a time. Like that to me, I think you sent a video of that to BJ and he's like, are you guys on drugs? Like what's happening? Because you were like crawling on the floor anyway, I feel like we do have drunk memories. But okay, so I actually heard you talking about this in the episode of Jason too. So there's a couple of things. I actually don't think that when you get sober that you're like the boring person in the room. I think you realize loads of people are really boring. And like alcohol can make other people seem less boring. But your tolerance for people that aren't great just is like, I just don't have that tolerance anymore. I can't hang out with people that are like just rubbish. I just can't. I just don't fancy it.
But she doesn't fancy it. If she doesn't fancy it,
oh my God. I'm going to write it on my sweater right now.
I don't fancy it. Doesn't fancy it.
It's the other way around. You're not the boring person. You're just suddenly like, oh God, loads of people are really just bleh. And Rebecca and BJ and Tom aren't. So I have loads of fun with them if they're drunk or not, because they're just not boring people.
Right?
That's great, right? Like I've never felt around you, Rebecca, like, oh, she's too drunk, I need to get out of here. Like never. Even when I do think there is like that thing where it probably was more of a problem for you than I really, like, I never thought of you as someone who had a drinking problem ever. So, but I have seen you drunk, but I've never been like, oh God, Rebecca's drunk. Because some people get drunk and you're like, oh God, can't be around. I know a couple of people like that where I'm like, I'm done hanging now because they're just like, they've passed level. You never had that ever. So doesn't mean you didn't have a problem or there wasn't things going on that I don't know about. And
Kate, now you've inspired me. I'm going to go back to drinking.
No, Rebecca.
It's coffee.
We would hang out too, and she would say, I got blackout drunk last night, and I had no idea she was even tipsy. Do you know what I mean? Like she never seemed too drunk. Because Rebecca, one of the best things about her is she's like loud and crazy, even in the morning. Like she's loud and crazy all the time. So it doesn't.
She never turns the volume down. So it's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
I think for me,
some people are fun. You know what I mean? Like you're just fun regardless.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I think that for me, the thing is that I didn't have to drink a lot to not remember. And so I think for me, what felt like a problem, which was a problem, was in the morning, I wouldn't remember. And when I would tell my friends, they'd be like, really? You didn't seem that drunk. And I think that, honestly, I started finding myself listening to lots of Quitlet and TikToks about sobriety and getting sober and sober curious people. And there was one specific TikToker, and I'll find her and I'll put it in the show notes for sure. She was talking about how less and less alcohol, when it makes you black out, you obviously have a problem. Your brain has adjusted to drinking to the point where your brain just goes, I'll just shut off like earlier and earlier. And that's how you can really know you have a problem. And seeing that was so important for me because I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, this is a problem that I drink 3 drinks and cannot remember the next day. That is a problem. And it really pushed me into thinking about it as a problem rather than just like, oh, I should moderate. It was like, obviously moderating. When I moderate, I still don't remember. So it has to be done.
Yeah. But there is definitely that there is a tolerance level for people that aren't fun or interesting and that get drunk. And then there's a time in the night, I think, that usually you're like, oh, I'm done here. But I still think, actually, I disagree with myself. I had a party. We had a party here at our house around in Halloween. We had a Halloween party and a Christmas party. And I really remember Halloween was like one of my old school friends and my sister. And he was like the last person to leave. I think he left at like 4 a.m. And I was like, I'm so ready to go to bed. And everyone else has gone. Tom was asleep. And he had a bottle of rum and they were like drinking and talking, hanging out. But I was like, but this is actually great and like fun. And I'm not, because we're kind of going into like old school memories, and they were talking about like his teaching job, and he's had a kid, and he was being like talking about his friends having kids and just things we hadn't caught up about in a long time. And I do think that there's just some like, you just start to be like, I want to be around good people. And if the good people get drunk, they can still be good people. Obviously, there's bad drunks, but I just think that like you just realize a lot of people aren't as shiny as maybe that's great getting older as well, though. Because I feel like in my 20s, I just wanted to be friends with everyone. And now in my 30s, I'm like, I don't want to be friends with everyone at all.
I think the thing is, Anne and I just need better friends.
Yeah. So that's another reason why we're doing this podcast is to find friends. Make new friends. Find us online. Thank you.
And you two are awesome.
No, but we, same thing, like at parties though, like if people aren't funny, like, or I'm not having fun or engaged in a conversation, I just kind of leave a lot faster than I did before. And I'm still not at a place where I'm going to stay. Like I have stronger boundaries now.
I think that's great. I think you waste a lot less time. Why would you want to stay? Like the example at the party in the kitchen, I was like, oh, I want to go to bed. But I was like, actually, I am having fun reminiscing. You know what I mean? And this is kind of a nice situation where I'm okay with staying up till 4 and like having this like memory with an old friend. Whereas if I was at like, I don't want to stay at some random bar till 4 a.m. unless I'm with like Rebecca or like someone really, I could dance till the sunrise with you guys. We could stay up every night in Edinburgh if we didn't have to work.
Yeah.
I was saying that to Rebecca. I was like, why didn't we go dancing? Like we should have gone dancing. But we had fun. We had fun.
We'll do it. But like, we will go dancing one day, ladies.
Okay.
Well,
day dance.
Live. But there is a thing I think that's really great when you wake up the next morning and you're like, I don't have a hangover and I left when I wanted to leave and I'm so happy right now because I have my day. And you leave that behind, or as when you have a hangover, you bring the whole thing with you and it's like that whole event might be with you the whole day or even a whole weekend or a few days. It's like, it's so nice to close the door on like hangovers and regretting like anything like that. You know,
100%. I'm just realizing that when I would get drunk, I would overshare. I do that in general anyways. When I'm nervous is I like share way too many details about my life. I think Rebecca, the first time we hung out, we went too deep, too fast. We like trauma bonded. And that was over
within
coffee.
2 sentences. Yeah. Within 2 sentences, we were like, this is my trauma. This is my trauma. Okay. Should we be comedy partners and best friends forever? Okay, great. Done.
Yeah, exactly. But with alcohol, I would do that with not Rebecca's, who were amazing people. And I would just share way too much. And I'm just realizing that now. Sorry. Like it's like a anxiety recollection that I would just blurt out like everything to people.
Oh yeah. I remember at the SAG Awards. So like the first year we were nominated which was so exciting to be nominated for like best ensemble. And I think we had it in our heads that we could win because we felt as
you could have won. You're amazing. Sorry.
We definitely could have won.
Yes.
Because that was true. And we should have.
No, we were such a fun ensemble. So it felt like, oh, this is so perfect. Like we could win. And I was hanging out with someone who was in the cast of Orange is the New Black, who had won the award the first time they were nominated for it. And I just have vague memories in and out. Because once we didn't win, I started pounding champagne. And I was sitting next to Kate, actually, at the awards. And then after, I was just pounding champagne. As soon as we didn't win, it was like my nerves. I just started pounding it. And so I remember talking to some different celebrity types and being nervous about that. And then sitting with this girl from Orange is the New Black. And I have vague, like, in and out memories of it, like where I'm like, what the fuck was I talking about with that person who she messaged me like on Instagram and was like, such a great conversation. Like we totally, but part of me was like, she's writing this because it's almost like she's checking up on me to see if I'm okay. And I'm like, why was I wasted? Why was I wasted there?
I think that's the other part of you as well, though, that's like putting yourself down. Like she probably just was like, nice to meet you. It really was nice to meet you.
100%, Rebecca.
Well, I was insane, so she messaged to check that I.
She thought a wellness check. Yeah, she probably just thought you were cool. But yes, I understand. Like afterwards, thinking you said something. But even Rebecca, like I never knew you were that drunk ever. Like you probably seemed great.
I'm drunk right now. Just kidding. This is a bad joke for a sober podcast, a joke that you're drunk, but guys, I'm edgy.
Oh yeah. Edgelord Rebecca. I remember in Edinburgh, we went to some delicious meals. This sounds so dorky. I'm just way less cool than both of you. So that's just like, that is what it is. But I have had a love affair with food since I stopped drinking in a way that I never have. And did you have anything like that too? Did you start cooking? Did you enjoy eating out more than you had before?
Pussies. She's talking about eating out.
Pussies.
I ate so much pussy when I first stopped drinking. You have to replace it.
Indiscriminate pussy eating. Cool.
She might be dry, but she makes those pussies wet.
Yes. Damp January in London.
Oh my God. Damn.
They're calling it that now, Kate. That means like you're just drinking on the weekends in January. It's called Damp January.
I was going to say that means me eating a lot of pussy.
Damp January.
Means for you. That's what it means for you.
Damp January.
It has a different meaning in the UK.
I'm trying to think. I just feel like I went through a transition in lots of ways around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do put a lot of it on glow, but probably not drinking was also part of it. I think that my life changed for the better in loads of ways at that period of time where I suddenly, I think for lots of reasons, was like, okay, boundaries, okay, upgrade my life. Like, what do I actually want my life to look like? I do remember having earlier on this sort of realization, I think in my late 20s, like it was before I got Glow, and I was like, oh, there's this future I imagined for myself. But like, if I want that to happen, I actually have to do like something to like
something, just anything,
like at least one thing. Like I just sort of dream of this. I'm like, that's what my future's going to be like. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't do anything to chip away at that at all. Like nothing. You're not contributing towards that future whatsoever. And I think being a musician is such an unstable thing to be.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, our choices too are completely unstable and stupid. Like comedians. Yeah. You have to really, really need to do it. And yeah.
Be passionate about it. And like, there's a realization, well, there was for me of like, oh, but I also want to have stability. I do want that, even though it's really uncomfortable for me, not just touring and like being in the whirlwind of music. And again, like getting Glow, I was in a completely different professional environment. And I was like, oh, okay, professionalism, boundary. Like there was just like brand new things to me. The awareness. I remember seeing Sidel going up to like people after work and like asking questions about money and what she was getting paid and hours that she'd worked and did it. And she like knew her stuff. And like all of you girls did, you know, like you guys like knew, like you're clued into like your union and like your hours and just stuff. I had none of that. Like music is just like, it is like tour and make the songs and then don't know anything and like go out and make other people loads of money and just keep doing it. And
it's interesting how being on a TV show was stable for you, but part of it was there's union rules. So like, yeah, we knew our rules. We knew, and you were in the same place for a long period of time and working that whole time.
And that's like,
which you've done when you recorded albums, but like this was like going to work every day,
Monday to Friday,
headlock someone, drop kick another.
HR department, production, like there's just so much professionalism. And I was just so inspired by that. And it just gave me a whole new perspective on my own music career too. I feel sorry for musicians that have never had an experience outside of the music business because we don't know what we're doing because no one's giving us a chance to learn that. And actually, I think it benefits the music industry if you don't know. And like that's part of like staying numb, being drunk, just get them, you know, keep them going, just keep them going. That's why loads of musicians have died. It's like, just make sure they have to play the show. It's like life or death. You can't say no to things. Like you can't like cancel a tour. I mean, we're seeing more tours being cancelled now. I think there's more awareness of like mental health and perhaps the pandemic has made people different, but I do think that people are kind of like, actually, I'm not a donkey. Like, I can't just do this. This is very unstable. And like, I need some boundaries. And like, there's different ways to tour a record now. Yeah. You're going to maybe change that. You know, when I first went out, I went out for like a year and a half and I was barely home. And I remember my last gig of Made of Bricks.
Which you were like 19, right? You were 19 at that time?
Yeah, like 19. And I remember like walking out of the venue and there was like, I just felt like dust. I was like, I had nothing to give in this gig. I can barely speak. I was so done and I was exhausted and I was sick and I was just like a shell of my former self. And it was like, just squeeze every last drop, you know? And I think obviously that happens in lots of industries, but it happens to be an industry that celebrates rock and roll, drugs and alcohol in the workplace, which not every industry does that. And you're kind of like I was describing touring being uncomfortable anyway. I have always said, like, if I do drink again, I won't do it on tour. You know, if I go back, if I decide like, actually, I do fancy a drink, I'm going to have one. It won't be on the road because why would I do that to myself? It just make everything harder. Yeah. And I like staying like this, like clear-headed. I'm a boss. I'm responsible for like 12 to 14, 15 people traveling around a country. That's insane. Like, I just need to make sure everyone is safe. I shouldn't be fucking drunk. I'm responsible for like a whole bunch of employees. Like, there's just a different perspective I have on it all now. And I think it was around Glow and not drinking and like deciding I wasn't going to like date shitty people anymore, that my life just changed for the better.
I love that. And I love the idea of like that perspective and I hope that this can reach some people who maybe it would never even occur to them to go on tour without drinking, because it didn't occur to you until you were doing something different. Yes. And you were like, oh, this worked for Glow. Let's see if it works for tour. Oh, it worked so much better. And like, I just think that perspective, I mean, part of it is growing up and getting mature and like the difference between being in your 20s and 30s and also how alcohol affects you and all that.
Yeah.
But like the idea of being able to go into your 30s and never having had a drink and having all that perspective and clarity and health is amazing. And then to see how that translates into your career, it's really such a good, good insight.
Yeah. And you were talking about just with the tour still being physically demanding on you, like you're sleeping on vomit pillows. And, you know, I've seen you're very active on stage and you have to be like in crazy good shape. So what are some like other rituals, not the drinking, that you do on tour or at home that have kind of replaced like self-care things?
Yeah. Well, when I'm on tour,
eating out pussies, but sorry, that's obvious.
Besides
but
that,
other than that, okay, got it.
And putting makeup on. I actually don't wear a lot of makeup anymore, but except for podcasts.
We appreciate the effort. Thank you.
It does make your voice sound better.
Yeah. On tour, it's very much about finding something good to eat. And I'm also vegan. So I think I was vegetarian for about 8 years. And I did feel like on tour that was really amazing because, again, you know, you're in a different town, a different city every day. When I was eating meat, it's like, you don't know what freaking hormones, like how are these animals farmed? Like there's just like an extra thing that you have to think about if meat is in the picture. And anyway, I'm vegan now. And a lot of my band members and crew members even will eat with me on tour because I'll always like look something up and find something. You have to make more of an effort with vegan, you know, to find a specific place. And me and Boom, my guitarist, are very much into like, every day going out and being like, we want to find a good coffee and a nice, like basically your meal for the day, sort of like a lunch, you know, before sound check. Has to be before sound check because you can't eat too soon before a show. Otherwise you kind of feel a bit shit and maybe have a little something for later as well, you know? So I'm very much a foodie as well. And food is so important to me on tour. So it's like, and I like to find like a little area that I can kind of wander around. I feel like just being able to see a hint of the city that you're in. Because again, if you're kind of, you know, hungover and feel like shit and you have to just, you know, you take that out, you end up traveling around and not really seeing that much as well. So I think you've got to have limits because I when I'm on tour, I prioritize the show over everything. It's like the show's the most important thing. Nothing comes before the show. So if you know, you might want to do something if you can't, like, it's like the show comes first always. And but to do the show and do it well, I need to be like fed and watered and cleaned. So
watered.
She's a plant.
Yeah, clean.
Yes.
This is really important to me on tour. But yeah, I like finding like a cute little cafe and like, you know, just you're usually in a little bit of an interesting part of town if you're looking for a little vegan cafe. And then when I'm home, like I have 2 dogs, so I walk my dogs like every day, and that feels like a routine that is like, I don't know, really good for me because it just, I can really easily slip into depressive episodes. But if I have 2 dogs staring at me, I have to get them out of the house every day, you know, to be a good dog owner. So I feel like walking my dogs gets me out. It makes me like look after like another species, which is like a really nice thing to do. And I'm very into exercise since Glow as well. Before Glow, I wasn't into exercise at all. And I think we all like just basically were like, oh, it wasn't just like we're on TV, let's try and look good on TV. It was like, we might die if we don't look up ourselves a bit more.
Well, yeah, I felt like once I started doing, the difference between season 1 and 2 is I started doing Pilates and I was like, oh, I actually have some core strength. I always joke that I went from 0 abs to 1.
A 1 pack.
Yeah, I have a 1 pack. Between season 1 and 2, though, I started doing Pilates, and then then it becomes like that becomes its own like addiction in a good way, where you're like, oh, I should work out. Like it feels good to get the endorphins and all that. And I love being able to wake up in the morning and work out, which I never would have done.
Yeah.
And even though I did work out sometimes when I was drinking, it's still now. It's like, that's my enjoyment is the daytime. And like, what can I do during the day
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite hard to like, I feel like I'm realizing now, like when I'm one of the happiest times in my life was on Glow because of that routine and stability and someone else kind of being in control of like what I was doing. In terms of like show up and be part of the pie. Whereas when I'm a musician, I make the pie. I'm like in control of it. I'm the chef. And it's a bit more stressful. It's a lot more stressful, but I'm very passionate about it. But when I'm working, I'm like away from home, and like I just made a record recently, and it was so intense, the experience, because I'm kind of like, I think just being an independent artist for this many years, like having been in another professional industry, I'm so much more aware of like the money that's being spent. I'm spending it. I'm like, what are we recording today? I like have a fucking red pen. I'm like underlining so on top of stuff. And I had so much fun as well, but I was like highly strung. But that doesn't mean you're not having fun. It's like, I just was like, I have to be responsible. I have to get this stuff done because there's a budget that's my money and like needs, like, we can't do this again. Like, we got to get this.
So you were like producing it to, you know, like too kind of like in terms of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so like when I'm doing that, I don't put a lot of time in, like I didn't work out because I was like, I don't have time. Like I just, but me and the music producer, we'd get up early and we'd walk, we'd go out into the garden and we'd walk along it was right on the coast, and we'd just do this like morning walk and we'd have like a herbal tea, and then we'd come back and be like, right, we're going to the studio. And it was a really nice little like ritual. I think rituals are really important. And I kind of, I think without them, I'm just like depressed and useless and pointless because I can very easily, like really, like I'll just, if I could just sit and do nothing and be like, I like stare at my piano or my guitar or think about like I'm a failure. I can't write any stuff. Like I can't do anything. Like I can become so restrictive on myself and be like, I can't. I'm just like, I'm stuck in this cycle of like thought pattern, and I can't take any action. It's like I have to force myself into these like little routines that get me out of the house or get me to do something. Otherwise I'll just sit and become a hoarder and die in a pile of trash. I genuinely feel like there's another like sliding doors reality, and I'm just like dead under a bunch of old newspapers or something.
The really darker Gwyneth Paltrow sliding doors. Kate Nash.
Way less glam.
Trash lady.
Trash lady. I'm the old woman that lived in a shoe, but I was actually just killed by my shoe and buried under it.
That person is named Kate Trash. There's
Kate Trash. Oh, sorry. That's Trash. Much better. Yes. Kate Trash.
So rituals, even though I don't like talking in that sort of way, I'm not like my rituals, but really like I force rituals upon myself to like make sure I function as a human being and that I keep being an artist.
And don't you have rituals as well?
Yes, I kill virgins and drink their blood. No,
People don't do that as much anymore. It's nice.
I know.
It's nice to go back
weird.
to
I feel judged, but you know what I mean? Like I'm in a judge-free zone here and I will kill a virgin. No, I take baths. I do old lady stuff. Anything that you can think of a 90-year-old woman doing is what I do. I go and I swim.
Like 4 showers a day. In Edinburgh, you took like 14 showers a day.
I think I'm a dolphin. Okay. I like to be in water. I like to swim. I like to take baths. I like to nap. Do dolphins nap? Well, I like to nap. Anything that an old person does. I drink coffee. I love to read books. Like I read all the time.
People do this that aren't just old people too, by the way.
Rebecca and I bond because we just like to insult ourselves. But yeah, that's what I like to do. And I like to eat good meals and I like to laugh. I really like to laugh. In the pandemic, I was hanging out with lovely people and they're wonderful. But one of the greatest things about working with you, Rebecca, and like even being with you, Kate, in Edinburgh and doing that festival and doing live comedy again is the laughter. Like I just forgot how hanging out with funny people just really lights me up. So thanks, guys.
It's a ritual. Every morning I make myself laugh for 15 seconds. And then I take a bath and then I read a book. No, I'm just kidding.
And then you kill a virgin.
Yeah.
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 No,
I mean, laughter is the key to having a good life, I think. I mean, if you can be with people that you can laugh with, you can get through anything. Like, we had a terrible time, but also a great time in the pandemic, you know, because we just had I've got so many good memories of hanging out with you and Tom and BJ becoming really close friends. Like, that was really formative for our friendship in a really positive way, even though we were going through turmoil and, like, you know, sharing all of our stresses. We still had so many good laughs. And I think about a lot of the most stressful times of my life, like the things I remember is like laughing with my really good friends about that turmoil, or even like turning that horrible thing into a funny story later that you can share with the people that were with you, because you're like, man, we got through that together by having a good time. And like, I watched this, I watched the Wrexham documentary series.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's surprisingly good. And I was like, I'm not going to like this. Americans coming at home in English, who do they think they are? And I just was like, I don't know if I like Ryan Reynolds, because everyone loves him and everyone says he's so nice. And then I was like, oh, he is actually really great. Like, he's really lovable and like really nice. And he's super charming. And like, there was a footballer though that said this really profound thing, and it's a really simple thing, but it just blew my mind. And he was talking about life, and he was like, you know, he's like, life's just a memory. And I was like, oh my God, life is just a memory. Like, that is one of the most profound things ever. And it's so simple and so true, because it is just a memory. Everything you do is just going to be a memory. Like this, as soon as we hang up, it's just like a thing that happened and a memory that we have. And I'm like, that's such a beautiful way to look at life, because if you think about memories are beautiful things, and you're often like thinking about memories in this really positive way. And it's like, what is a person? Who is a person? And it's like, what do you leave behind? And what are the stories people are going to tell about you when you're gone and stuff, you know, like, I just remember that being like the most profound, simple thing from a footballer. I was like, wow, how cool is that?
I think that's obviously so profound. And also like to bring it home sort of in terms of the alcohol stuff.
Yeah.
I think that like
having the memories is part of life.
I know, right?
Having the memories. And
we can remember now.
We can remember and we can be active in the memories we create, and not just sort of go down some crazy windy path and without control. It's like things are still going to happen. There's still spontaneity in life, but being in control while we're living is amazing. And for me, the huge thing is having those memories and not letting a night of fun with my friends go down the drain. And I don't remember it, because I could have had the best time or the worst time. And if I wake up in the morning and I can't remember it, like, that sucks, especially if it was great. Like, you want to remember it. So that's so
I love that. And I love what you're saying, Rebecca. It seems like, you know, being a little more intentional, like it's now you can remember it, but like, I do feel a little more intentional now that I'm not drinking. Like, I don't want to be here. Oh, okay. I go. Like, I want to do this thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I think saying no is so big, and and deciding where you don't want to be is like as important as figuring out where you do want to be, and not kind of thinking like, oh, I'm boring because I don't want to be here. Be like, no, this is fucking boring. I don't want to be here because this is boring.
That's the second t-shirt.
It's a beautiful memory.
I don't fancy it anymore, and this is fucking boring. I'm out. Kate Nash.
It's not you, it's them. I'm telling you.
Oh, I love it so much.
I love it.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. We miss you.
We miss you. I wish I could give you a big hug. All right. Love you.
Bye.
Well, Kate Nash is the coolest.
Yeah, she's so fun. I always feel when I hang out with her, like I'm like, oh, she's a rock star and I'm just a mom.
No, but I kind of feel like a little bit of that rock star I feel it. And for a second, I feel like a rock star. And then I remember.
Yeah, when I start playing a guitar and I can't play it.
Yeah. Or when I start singing or like wearing her cool outfits. Like if I wore just like a leotard on stage, people would be like, no. But she wears it and people are like, cool.
I mean, when I first started hanging out with her, I thought it was funny because we would go meet for coffee and she'd wear a leotard, tights, and a tiara and like a pink jacket. And that would be her coffee outfits.
Yeah?
And yes.
Wow, I need to wear that to coffee.
We might get more free coffees if we
wear leotards.
You know,
wow.
Kate's cool. And besides her wardrobe and her fashion.
We learned so much. So it was a revelation to me. I was blaming myself for being boring at these parties because I wasn't drinking and I would be talking to somebody. I'd be like, I'm not connecting.
Snooze.
And I'd leave. And she was like, no. They're boring.
Yeah. It's amazing to realize it's not you, it's them.
Yeah. And you're not going to vibe with everyone. That's just what it's like.
It's just life.
That's life.
Yeah. And so now actually what's great is now we know that. And now it's not like, oh, let me drink more because I'm not vibing with these people.
No. You'll vibe. You'll have fun. You'll party with the people. You don't need booze to have fun.
No, in fact, when we went to Scotland with Kate, we had some of the most fun in our lives.
We were idiots.
Yeah.
You don't need booze to be an idiot.
That's true.
And speaking of fun, we released this podcast a week ago, and it has been so fun to hear from you all. We've been getting some comments. Please leave some comments. It's great to hear about you, where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
If you're doing a damp January, a dry January.
A fuck it February. And by fuck it, we mean fucking leave it behind.
Yeah. Medicinal March. I don't know. That's a thing,
We're
right?
working on it.
We're workshopping those terms.
Yeah.
But I wanted to read a customer review before we jump into our mocktail.
Customer
Review. This is what it says. It says customer review because I'm just reading it. I'm not thinking for myself. Just reading this thing. It says customer review.
It sure does.
It does. Listener review. A listener review. This is from this is from Danica Dutchcap. Also, the font so small on this. Danica Dutchcap writes.
What a name.
What a name. I wonder if it's real.
You know what? We'll never know.
We'll never know. Teetotalers listening paradise.
Ooh. Hey now.
Hey. This show is the most fun I've had not drinking in forever.
Hey.
These girls are hilarious and honest with thoughtful questions and a thirst for relatable experiences. We do have a thirst for relatable experiences.
Thirsty for water and
we are
those experiences.
thirsty experience bitches.
And we're thirsty for attention.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we have a podcast, right? And advice for navigating a sometimes challenging and awkward world as teetotalers. There's nothing dry about Anne and Rebecca other than their alcohol consumption. So glad I gave this a listen. Well, thanks, Danica Dutchcap.
Hey, we Dutch our caps to
you, Danica. And now our mocktail recipe.
Yeah, let's get to our mocktail recipe. So I recently went to a alcohol-free shop. It's kind of like a liquor store, but without soft spirits. That's what it's called. And speaking of paradise, I felt like I was in heaven.
Okay.
And I picked up this Ghia. I believe you say Ghia. I picked up this Ghia, and it's sumac and chili. And the first time I had this was when I went on my oft-mentioned Palm Springs weekend with my husband for our anniversary. And they had Ghia at the hotel, and I had this sumac and chili flavor, and I fucking loved it. Because I used to love aperitifs and like Campari, that style of drinking, digestifs, aperitifs. And so to me, that reminds me of that, but it's a little sparkly, and then it's a little spicy. So, Anne,
you're a little sparkly and spicy.
Hey, now!
Oh, you've got some lipstick on your teeth.
Oh, okay, great.
Sparkle and spice, isn't it nice?
Something you guys don't know is...
You don't know. So we were on a morning show the other week, last week, because this just came out last week.
Yeah.
And I was speaking with total confidence, feeling myself, and I had lipstick on the top of my teeth, like somebody drew it with a marker.
Yeah.
Like a makeup artist was like, fuck it. Let's just put a lipstick all over her mouth.
Yeah, like she was some sort of weird art experiment and not a person promoting the podcast. And I told her she had it on there while we were shooting live on this morning show.
Live.
She wiped it off and somehow it came back. And it wouldn't stop coming back.
It was like one of those a trick birthday candle that just came
like you keep blowing it out.
It was just like the lipstick came on.
So she threw that lipstick out, and we filmed it. Because,
we filmed it. Yeah, you can see that.
We're reality stars now.
Yeah, stars. But anyways,
so we're taking this Ghia sumac and chili, and I thought, even though it's really good on its own, to be honest, I thought, why not add a sugar rim with a little grapefruit? I thought it might be good with like a tart fruity addition, just mild.
Sugar rim. I'm going to call it a sugar ray.
Oh.
Go back to the early aughts.
I was going to call it a sugar rim job.
Oh.
So we're going to add a little, here's how you do a sugar.
That's a very messy rim job, I got to be honest.
This is what you're supposed to do, okay, Ian?
Okay.
So you take this glass and you put a bunch of citrus juice on it, and then you roll that
it for the rim job, for the Sugar Ray rim job. His are very messy, notoriously,
and it doesn't have to look gorgeous. It to me looks good.
It can look like just some sugar attacked your glass. That's what you're going for.
It could look like you dropped your glass in the snow.
Yep. Okay. Oh, it's winter time.
Okay, so that's then we're going to take our Ghia. Oh, I should do the other sugar rim. Okay. And actually, while I'm doing this, could you be of use?
Sure.
And pop some ice in this glass?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Pop some ice in the glass.
These
oh geez.
Mocktail moments when you're not watching us.
Yes, yeah.
Because I feel
it's better just hearing this.
All right. So for no reason at all, I don't have a sugar rim, and Anne does. Okay. So now we're gonna take.
It's because
Ghia, and it's
I'm pre-diabetic, so I should have more sugar.
Oh yeah, we could trade. I don't go to the doctor to get my blood level checked because I don't want to hear the bad news.
She spilled.
I can't do it without spilling. And then I'm going to add an additional squirt for the rim job of grapefruit.
Squirt on the rim job, guys. You heard it here.
We are
Sugar
the most...
Ray squirting on a rim job. And she squirted all over her crotch.
I just flung the grapefruit right into my crotch.
And it just went all over you.
Guys, I tell you, I don't make my money making drinks. I make it making people laugh. Thank goodness. Yes. Okay, here you go. This is our drink.
And
we're going to call it the Morning Blend based on a morning show that we're about to be on. And hopefully neither of us will have lipstick on our teeth.
Cheers. Oh my God, I didn't make a cocktail reference. I didn't make a cocktail with a Tom Cruise reference.
That's because I wasn't shaking and it made you not think about it.
Oh, yeah.
But I am wearing no pants, just like he did in that movie. Or is that Risky Business?
I think that was Risky Business. I've actually seen Risky Business, never seen Cocktail, heard it's really dark and about abortions. And with that, thank you for watching.
Please listen, rate, review, follow us, share with your friends. And how do you like the drink, Anne?
I like it a lot.
I freaking love it.
I love Ghia. Ghia, I love you, Ghia.
Oh, my Ghia.